Okay, guys, if you go up here to where we had our spot healing brush and all this stuff, you have one called the Remove tool, which is really great. So right now, if you look up here in my control bar, I have generative AI is off because for the simple things, I don't really need that on. So I'm going to go and try and wipe out this dog here. And you can see it just completely got rid of it. So let's see if we can do this one. Okay, so really straightforward on that part of it. Now, if it gets into something more complex, then you might want to turn generative AI on, and it'll think a little more about the decisions it's making. Okay. Now, another thing in here, I'm going to put generative AI on for this because to me this is a little more, tricky. I'm also on another layer. If you notice here, I created a new layer, and I'm just doing sample all layers. And now here I'm going to go find distractions, and I want to go wires and cables and hit remove. And you can see it's really good. So it got rid of all those wires and all that complex stuff in my scene. So there's another thing here I'm going to show you how to do in a second. Okay, so here's another use of this. And this is where it really gets good. So I have generative AI on. I'm on sample all layers. I want to put a new layer up here. Now, if you have this checked, it means exactly what it says. It means if I stroke over something, it's going to erase it immediately. Or you can let go of that because you want to make a selection, then maybe lift off and then make another selection. So it's not doing it after each stroke. So let's go. Well, here, let's look at this. So I could come in here and take this logo out of here. But let's go in here and try and get this whole bird out of here. And this is where the generative AI comes in handy. So I got a little left here. And you can see it got rid of it pretty well. And it even kept all these little droplets and stuff. I don't like that one right there. And usually it'll get rid of it on one try, but you can see this is really good. And this is an area where the AI works really good. Okay, guys, so this is inside your filters. Now, number one, I've already used curves like we looked at in class, and I adjusted this a little bit. Not too much. And then I duplicated this layer because I'm going to work on this layer, and I'm going to make it a smart object. If I can find smart objects, there it is. That way we can go back and readjust. So in filter lives your camera raw filter right here, which will pop up if you open up a photo that's been shot raw in your camera, which is usually your higher res stuff, your 300 DPI stuff and all that. But you can open it up here, and basically if you're a photographer and you know Lightroom, this is basically Lightroom within Photoshop, which is really handy. But they have this color tool in here. So let's go here to color mixer. We're in color mixer, so let's get rid of this for a second. Get rid of color. And let's get rid of effects. And we're in color mixer, and we're in point color. Okay, let me make sure I'm on. Yeah, we are. And what this does is I can take this dropper and I can click an area. So let's click right here in this warm area. And you can see there it is in our color picker. And then I can come down here and I can adjust these very specifically to an area, which is really handy. So look at this foliage here. And you can see it's really just affecting that and brightening it up a little bit. I can change the hue, which I don't want to do in this case. I can push the saturation, the luminance, which is really just light and dark more or less. So here I want it about there because I want it to separate from this background. And then variance is just going to do just that, like where's the range of color it's hitting. And it varies a little bit. And then down here, in all these things, you have a more specific, These are just more specific versions with the hue range and the saturation range and all that. So you can come down here and really dial it in if you want. I think this is great. So then I can come in here and go, let's try this back here. I'm going to take that. And by the way, it creates these swatches up here, okay? So if I go back and I click this, then that'll just take me back to my selection here. I don't have to reselect it. Okay, so now we're back here, and I'm going to go to saturation. And I just push that saturation a little bit. And if you see, it's bringing in some of those cool colors. They're cool greens, basically. Let's go with our luminance. It's lighter. Or I can dial in a little darker. I'm going to go a little lighter just to push it a little bit. And then our variance, let's see what that does. Kind of pushes the warms back there a little bit, which is nice. Now the range here, this little button right here will cut off. If you notice, this went into black and white. So everything is in black and white here except the colors that I'm adjusting right now, which can be really, helpful if you just want to focus in on seeing that without it in context. And then I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to go here and get maybe this green right here. Then I'm just going to push that a little bit. I don't want to push it too much because I want to stay in the distance. And you can see, you can really dial in your colors. This can come in really handy because if you've ever noticed, a lot of times your camera is kind of averaging, and this will let you come back in and kind of pull it back to where it was. So that is in your camera raw filter. It's in the color mixer and it's point color. Okay, so in that same filter, which is your camera raw filter. Now, if you look at this, this is way underexposed. This is early in the morning. So I'm going to make a copy of this. And I'm just going to go right here. We talked about this the other day. Adjustment, image adjustment, shadows, highlights. And you can see it brings all that back. You got to be careful with these things like everything else. Because I want to keep that early morning. So I'm just going to adjust it a little there. I'm going to go here to levels. Maybe pull up the lights just a hair. So now, normally I do that in curves like we talked about, but this will work for now. Now I'm going to make this, let's make a copy of it and make a smart object. And now right back to the same filter. Filter, neural filter, or I'm sorry, not neural filter, camera raw filter. And then we're going to go here to color mixer, which is where we were before, which is where our point color is right there. But now we're in the mixer. And this is a little more straightforward. So you have this all broken down into this color spectrum. So now if I go and I want to push warms in there, oops. You can see it pushing those warms. Let's get something you can see a little better. Let's go to the oranges. There you go. So way too much, obviously. Then I'm pushing it over the other area. So let's just overdo it a little bit and push a little too much of that. Push the greens. I like getting the greens in there a little bit because they're kind of lost. Let's go to the green. That was yellows, actually. But I went to the green area. A little more of the green. And then up here in the sky, if I want to push that a little more. There it is, in the purple range, and here it is pushing into the bluer range. Then we could push different things. Okay, so it's basically just broken down by color and just gives you a little more specificity on which color you're adjusting. So there it is before, there it is after. There is a lot of purple in that sky, but we kind of pushed it in this more tealy range. But that's what that is. Those are really handy tools. It's just knowing that basically Lightroom is inside of Photoshop is handy, and that'll make sense to you later if you start using Lightroom. They've added a new adjustment layer here, which is clarity and dehaze. So we're going to try this on this. So This will work better. We're going to talk about this mountain right here. And this will work better if I make a selection of that. So I'm going to go to my object selection tool. And you can see I can hover over these things. If it's not doing that, hit this little swirl arrow thing. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to say OK. Go back to this. And then I want to make my adjustment layer. Clarity and dehaze. And then here's the clarity part. Well, let's go to dehaze first. And you can see I can dial that in as much as I want. I can dial almost all of it out, really. So let's just dial out a little bit, and then the clarity. And it's just that simple. It's pretty simple. Now, if I wanted to, and I had this and it was stronger, and I wanted to get more of the effect of the opposite direction, I could just go even lighter. But we're going to go here for now. And then if I want to do another adjustment layer, so let's say I go to, let's go to grain. But I can take this mask I've already made and go Option or Alt and drag it onto here. And it'll say replace layer mask. I'm going to say yes. And now we've automatically got a new layer mask and we don't have to create it again. So now if I come here and I want to add grain to it, or I can come here and let's say, let's just go to hue saturation. And same thing, I can click Option or Alt drag this onto there. Yes. And then if I wanted to push, let's say, the greens here. Not much green in there, I guess. So let's just go here. And you can see it's only affecting that now because we have that layer mask on it. But that's basically it. It's that, and that grain filter I think is new too. The one right here. Clarity and dehaze, and we'll talk about that one in a minute. Okay, so this is the Harmonize filter, which we wanted to talk about in class yesterday, but it wasn't in there. So I've got this open, and I've got this. So I'm going to go Control-All, or Control-A, copy. I'm going to go into, paste it in here. Now I'm going to turn it into a smart object. Reduce it. Let's reduce it down to about there. And now right here, I'm just going to go remove background on the contextual taskbar. I did a really good job on that. Now we're just going to go here. And right here now, this has appeared, this little Harmonize button. Keep an eye on it. It'll change the color to match the environment. So here's the variations. And then you can go here and generate 3 more if you want. That one's actually not bad. Here's the first one. I kind of like that better. Also, if you right click off the image area, you can get the hide contextual taskbar, or you can bring it back up. It's just a shortcut, so you don't have to go up here to the window and all the way down here. But that's what it does. It just harmonizes it with this environment, which is something we talked about like when we did the poster idea and all that sort of thing. So this just gives you a faster way to get there, to harmonize the lighting like we've talked about before. This is the blend layers filter. So I'm going to turn this into a regular background, or a regular layer. And we have this. Now this I think tends to work better if you have a sort of feathered edge, but I'm going to try it just without a feathered edge. And I'm leaving quite a bit around it because it's pretty clean around it. So I'm going to go Command C. I'm going to drop it in here. Let's just put it there. And then I'm going to select both of these. Go to Edit, Auto Blend Layers, and you want to put it on stacked images or stack images. And there it is. This one worked pretty good. I've had hit and miss with this, so not really, you know, it's been hit and miss for me. Now, I'm going to put a layer above this just to talk about that grain thing that we talked about a little bit in class yesterday. It's been added into your adjustment layers. So I'm going to put a layer here. Go to my color picker. I've got 80, 80, 80, which gives me a neutral gray. Hit OK. And by the way, that 80, 80, 80 I'm talking about is right here in your hex color right there that's highlighted. And then I'm just going to fill it. And now I'm just going to do an overlay on this. Soft light looks pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I mean just kind of disappears. Then I'm going to go right here to my grain filter. Right here, grain. Or what do you call it? Not just filter. It's a layer, adjustment layer. You can see it's adding grain into it. And I can adjust the size of the grain. Now this I would just want to be really subtle. And the only reason I'm doing that is if I'm combining it, it could be a way, it almost has a old photograph feel to it, the way it kind of translated this. And if I add a little film grain to it, it'll sort of unify the components of the composite and put them together. It's just one way you could do it. It doesn't always work because you don't always want to add a little grain, but you can add so little of it you barely notice it, and it'll help to unify it. So this is another one of your new adjustment layers, which is right here. So you can see the three new ones right here. It's Color and Vibrance, Clarity and Dehaze, and Grain. We've gone over these two already. Color and Vibrance, this has lived other places, but now it's here, which is really nice. So I'm going to do that. And now we've got our adjustment layer here. But this is a good time. Let's open this up. So it's got tint, which is going to do exactly that. If I move it to these colors, it's going to tint it. And that purpley thing's actually kind of interesting, but we don't want that right now. So another thing to talk about here is the difference between saturation and vibrance. And basically, if I go to saturation, everything gets saturated, everything in the image. Vibrance is more these sort of muted colors, and it shouldn't really affect humans in your image very much. So if you have these kind of images with somebody in nature or something like that, it should not affect this flesh tones. It will at some point, but so back here you can see these are less saturated than up here. So if I push the vibrance, you can see it's pushing that. It's a little bit in her flesh tone, but all the way up to there, I'm not really affecting her flesh tone at all. So really the difference is that, and vibrance is probably a better one to use mostly, especially if you got people in your image, because it's not going to saturate up the flesh tones. And it's really going to focus on the areas that you probably want to pull up, because if it's already very vibrant in certain areas, you don't want to pull everything up. So that's kind of the difference between saturation and vibrance. And this is your new, I think it's color and vibrance adjustment layer.